Hello again, YouTube. It is Friday, January 14th, 2022, 9:47 p.m. I'm actually making pretty decent time from Bullocks over to Wander Inn, and turns out that the bus app was lying to me, or the Valley Metro Transit app was lying to me about when the southbound train would show up there at Christown. And yeah, not the first time the app has lied to me, especially about trains. I found that it's a lot less accurate when it comes to showing when trains are going to show up, and yeah, just schedules for the trains as well. And yeah, the train thing's just so odd. I mean, it's definitely more efficient than buses, but it doesn't seem to keep a very consistent schedule. I mean, it says on the stations, there's like a banner at each station that says something along the lines of that it shows up every I should know this and I don't, but it shows between certain times that it shows every 10 minutes, and then a certain period of time it's supposed to be every 15 minutes, and another period of time every 20 minutes. But I found it can be, the next train could be along anywhere from 5 minutes to 40 minutes, just depends. And yeah, the transit app not as accurate at telling you when it's actually going to show up as it is with buses, so that can be frustrating. Anyway, so another train came along. Like when I was walking to the bank in the last video, I was totally expecting that I had about 21 minutes to kill. Finished up at the ATM and made a quick phone call that I needed to make. That guy was not paying attention. Almost missed his green left arrow. That's why you're supposed to be looking at the road and not your phone when you're driving. Anyway, yeah, I took my made a phone call I needed to make right after I used the ATM, and of course the ATM was quick. And then I heard the train. They get the little bells or horn or whatever the hell you call it that it likes to make every time it approaches the intersection. It was doing that as it was coming to Bethany home, and I looked up and was like, oh shit, that's not supposed to be here for another like 15 minutes, and just basically did a death sprint from well, as much of a sprint as my old ass is capable of, from the Wells Fargo Bank over to where the station was, which included running across the road, and for a while running on the northbound track and in the space between the tracks approaching the station. Hey, when you're gonna miss your ride and you're a bus person, you do what you got to do to catch it. And I did catch it, just barely, and I mean just barely. And I got that hacking and wheezing and out of breath when I got there. On that note, I was chatting with my daughter today, and she asked if I'm going to be fit enough to handle the 10-hour shifts at Amazon, or 9-hour shifts, however long they are. And I got to admit, I kind of have my doubts myself, but I reminded her how much work I did and how physical it was when I was working for Lime, and that I did that really well. In fact, that was much longer typically than 10 hours a day. And then again, that was a little over 2 years ago. So I definitely acknowledge that I am not in as good a shape now as I was 2 years ago. But conversely, I would say I'm in notably better shape now than I was 4 months ago. Just for all the walking around between buses, and all the times that I realized that it's just faster to walk than wait for the next damn bus. So anyway, I'm at for those who don't recognize this corner, I'm at McDowell and Central, To my north is the Phoenix Art Museum. And for those who don't know the history of that building, before Burton Barr Central Library was built, which is a little bit south of here, I'm thinking if I walk around this CVS, I might be able to actually see... Nope. Nope. Those new pack and stack apartments block the view. It used to be you could walk to right here and you could see Burton Barr Central Library to the south, but pack and stack apartments block the view. Anyway, before that library was built, I'm not sure how many years ago it was built. It's been quite a while. When I was a kid, the building that has the Phoenix Art Museum in it now used to be the Central Phoenix Library, and I have really fond memories of when I was little, and I want to say like 5, 6, 7 years old ish. My mother taking me there, and of all the stupid random things that I remember that sticks in my head, nearly over 45 years later, is I don't remember exactly where on the building the main entrance was, but I know when we walked in the main entrance, it was kind of far removed from the children's section of the library, which of course is where I was going at 5, 6, and 7 years old. But what I most vividly remember in my mind, and if any other Phoenicians remember this, please please comment about it, because I've talked to other Phoenicians about it and nobody else seems to remember this. But when you walked in the main entrance, oh look, it's another Waymo self-driving car. Seeing a lot of those in Central Phoenix these days. Anyway, when you walked into the main entrance, there were little yellow footsteps, like child-sized footstep type footprints on the floor, or attached to the floor, and you followed those, and it seemed like sort of a maze as it went through the building, because it was kind of a, if memory serves, on the inside back then it was kind of a windy, twisty building, but you followed it, and it seemed like it took a kind of an odd route through the building, but when you followed them, it eventually took you to the children's library, which was a separate room and had all kinds of nifty stuff in it. So, as the Burton Barr Library does now. I used to take Lily to that a lot when she was small, and there was even a time I used to take Allison to that when she was small. I want to say between the ages of like 2 and 4, but I took Lily there a lot between the ages of, I want to say about 3 and 7. So, anyway, yeah, lots of fond memories of going into that building when it was the library, and going into the children's library there. And never been there since it's been the Phoenix Art Museum. And to be honest, I'd kind of like to go, but I don't know. Just there's never been an exhibit that I was aware of that grabbed my attention to the point of, hey, I really need to see that. But still like to check it out sometime. All right. I don't know how long it's going to be till my bus on McDowell shows up. I did not check me out. I was just farting around on Reddit again on my ride from Christown to here. But yeah, I'm sure it's on its way, because I see a substantial amount of people waiting for the bus, and they look like they're legitimately waiting for the bus, as opposed to loitering at the bus stop. In fact, speaking of people waiting for the bus versus loitering at the bus stop, I've noticed that there are several other people that do the same as I do. Like a lot of times, like right now, I'm not waiting at the bus stop. I'm waiting down the street, and mostly I'm doing this just so I can talk to myself and make this video, and not seem too bizarre or weird or intrusive on the people that are there waiting for the bus. But a lot of times when I go to a bus stop, the bus bench will be occupied by somebody that's obviously loitering and camping there. And telltale signs are them laying down, wrapped up in a blanket, having, suitcases, like ratty-looking suitcases or backpacks or satchels or whatever with, look like they're filled to the brim. And of course, the ever popular stolen shopping cart full of crap. And let's not forget the ones that are sitting there smoking fentanyl. A lot of that too. Anyway, I've noticed that there are often other bus riders like myself that walk to the stop, realize there's somebody there like that occupying the stop, and wait about the distance that I am waiting from it, where they can kind of see the bus approaching. And I guess the place I really noticed it is today when I was doing my transfer, attempting to do my transfer from the 50 to the 60, and of course my first 60 didn't show up, but looking at the bus schedule, I had about 10 minutes to kill doing that, so I walked over to Chase Bank to do my deposit there, and as I walked past the bus stop on 16th Street on the northbound side of the road, which is serviced by the 16 North and then also the 60 westbound, I did notice there was a person curled up on the bus bench, all wrapped up in blankets or jackets or whatever, taking up the entire bench, and a little bit further over, but in view of where they could see the road, was somebody using a smartphone. He had a small shoulder bag comparable to what I'm carrying. It looked like she was just simply on her way home from work. And it's just sad that people like her and people like myself can't use the bus benches for what they're used for, because they're being used as homeless shelters, presumably due to inadequate availability of homeless shelters. Now, I do get that a lot of people that are homeless don't want to be in homeless shelters, and I can relate to that. And some of that's like, well, you see people in the comments, well, they don't want to deal with rules. Fair, but a lot of those rules are kind of unreasonable. I mean, there's the obvious of, hey, you can't be here doing drugs. And yeah, I don't have a lot of sympathy for that one. But I did notice when I was trying to get into a shelter when I was homeless the last time, that one of the biggest things I had an issue with was that a lot of them had a curfew time that you had to be in by. And when I first started hosting karaoke, the first place I hosted at was the something going down. That is really loud and bright. Fire truck. All right. Anyway, when I was homeless, that's when I started hosting karaoke. I was hosting at a place called Fat Cats in Central Phoenix, well, downtown Phoenix. Not quite downtown, but it was about 2 blocks out on Grand from where Grand starts. And I don't recall at any point in time that I was looking to get in a shelter at that point, but I had already looked at shelters at that point, and those shelters would have forced me to give up my residency at the shelter just because that job kept me out later than what the curfew was. Anyway, here's my bus. I have to go. Thanks for joining me on this.